They are sorry, not in the quick surface, let me move past this uncomfortable moment way that apologies so often function. Not in the performative way of someone who has learned that saying the words produces a particular result and has deployed them in that strategic capacity enough times that the words themselves have worn thin from overuse. In the real way, the kind that keeps you up at night, the kind that sits in the center of the chest with a specific weight that does not shift when you try to redirect your attention away from it, the kind that arrives without an audience and without anyone to perform it for, in the private hours when the only person present is the one doing the feeling, and the feeling will not stop regardless of how inconvenient its timing is. Tonight, specifically, something happened tonight or is happening tonight in the quiet interior of this person's evening that brought it forward with a clarity that the ordinary business of their days usually keeps at enough distance to be manageable. Tonight it is not manageable. Tonight it has full access. Stay with me. Because what came through for this reading arrived with a tenderness that I want to honor in the way I deliver it. This is not a reading about someone being exposed or a narrative collapsing or a truth forcing its way through a lie. This is something quieter than all of that, something more human. Something that most of us, if we are honest, understand from the inside. This is a person who knows they hurt you and who is sitting with that knowledge tonight in a way they cannot set down. Let me tell you what tonight looks like for them. Not the external details. Those vary depending on the specific shape of their life and the particular form their evenings take. What I want to tell you about is the interior of it, the quality of their experience in this specific window of time, because the interior is where this reading lives and where everything that matters about it is happening. The evening started ordinarily enough. The ordinary things that fill evenings, the unwinding from whatever the day required, the small rituals of being a person in a body who has to feed and settle that body regardless of what the heart is doing in the background. Those things happened, and underneath them, the whole time you were there. Not in the easy ambient way of someone who simply occupies a pleasant corner of a person's thoughts. You were there in the specific, slightly insistent way of something unresolved, of something they have been carrying in the part of themselves that does not respond to distraction or redirection or the reasonable argument that enough time has passed and they should be further along in whatever process is supposed to. Follow what happened between you. They are not further along. They are, if anything, closer to it tonight than they have been in a while. The distance that the ordinary business of days creates between a person and the things they have done that they are not proud of has closed. And what is left with the distance gone is just the thing itself, the specific, clear, unavoidable knowledge of what they did and what it cost you and what they would give in this moment to be able to do it differently. I want to speak to what they are sorry for, because the apology I am feeling in their energy is not a general, diffuse guilt about things going wrong between you. It is specific. It has an object, a particular thing or a series of particular things that they can trace with precision when they allow themselves to trace them. For some of you, what they are sorry for is something they said, words that came out with more force than they intended, or words that were chosen with intention in a heated moment, and that landed in you with a weight that outlasted the heat of the moment by a very long time. Words that they have replayed, that they hear in their own voice, in the quiet moments when the mind plays back the things it cannot unhear. That sound different to them now than they sounded in the moment they were spoken, because now they can hear them the way you heard them, without the heat, without the context of their own feeling that made the words feel justified at the time. They did not sound like love. And this person, whatever else is complicated between you, does love you in the specific, real, not always well expressed way that people who are afraid of their own feeling tend to love. Imperfectly, with the damage of their own history getting in the way at the moments that mattered most, but genuinely, and the gap between what they feel and what they expressed, between the love that was there and the words that came out, is where the sorry lives. For others of you, what they are sorry for is something they did not say, a silence that functioned as a kind of cruelty without being intended as one. A moment when you needed something from them, acknowledgement, presence, the simple dignity of being seen in your difficulty, and they could not provide it. Not because you did not deserve it, because they were managing something in themselves that made them unavailable for what you needed. And they watched you navigate the absence of what you needed without offering it, and they have not been able to forget the watching. For others still, what they are sorry for is a pattern, not a single moment, but the accumulation of moments, the repeated choosing of their own comfort over your well-being. The way they made you smaller, not dramatically, not in a way that was always obvious, but in the consistent, grinding way that accumulates into something significant over time. The sorry for the pattern is the heaviest kind, the kind that does not have a single event to point to and apologize for, the kind that requires a person to look at the whole of something they built and understand what it costs the other person to live inside it. They are looking at it tonight. I want to speak to something that is happening underneath the apology, because the sorry is real, but there is more in this person's energy tonight than guilt alone, and I do not want to deliver an incomplete picture. There is longing underneath it. The sorry and the longing are not separate things. They are braided together in the way that all genuine apologies carry within them the desire for something they cannot simply command. Because the sorry means acknowledging that something was broken. And acknowledging something was broken means feeling the specific grief of what it was before it broke, what was good about it, what you specifically brought to it that existed nowhere else in their life, what you are to them when they are not in the way of what you are to them. They miss you, not in the manageable, occasional surfaces and then passes way, in the kind that does not pass. In the kind that waits behind the ordinary things their days are made of, and steps forward in the evening when the ordinary things step back. In the kind that tonight, specifically, is not waiting at all. It is simply present at full volume without the muffling that the business of days usually provides. The longing is making the sorry louder, and the sorry is making the longing more specific, more pointed, more aware of exactly what was present and is now absent and why. Does this feel like someone you have been aware of, Virgo? Not necessarily someone you have been in active contact with, but someone whose presence at the edges of your awareness has been consistent even through whatever distance currently exists between you. Someone you think about in the specific slightly unwilling way of someone who would prefer not to think about a thing and finds themselves thinking about it anyway. Let me know in the comments. Tell me how long this has been sitting between you and this person. Tell me what you felt as I started describing the interior of their tonight. Now let me speak to the sorry itself. The way it exists in this person when they are not packaging it for delivery, when it is just them and the feeling and the private weight of it in the quiet, it does not have a script. That is the first thing. The apology this person owes you in the version that lives in their interior is not organized. It is not the clean, linear, I did this specific thing and I understand its impact, and here is what I am committing to do differently kind that therapists describe and that most of us imagine when we imagine a real apology. It is messier than that, more honest in its messiness than any organized version would be. It is feeling that does not know how to make itself into language yet. The things they would say if they knew how to say them, the specific acknowledgments they would offer if they trusted that the offering would not be rejected or received with the protective armor that you have every right to be wearing after what happened. The words they have composed and abandoned and recomposed in the private drafting space of their own mind, because none of the versions have felt equal to what they actually want you to know. What they want you to know is simple: that they see what they did, that they see what it cost you, that they do not have a version of the story where they are the reasonable party and you are the problem. That the version they were telling themselves for a period of time, the one that distributed the responsibility differently and made their own behavior easier to live with, has stopped working. That reality has gotten through the defenses, and what reality says is clear, and it is not comfortable, and it is not something they can continue to look away from. What they did was not okay, and they know it. Tonight, specifically, they know it in the full, undefended, no place left to hide way. What they want you to know is simple: that they see what they did, that they see what it cost you, that they do not have a version of the story where they are the reasonable party and you are the problem. That the version they were telling themselves for a period of time, the one that distributed the responsibility differently and made their own behavior easier to live with, has stopped working. That reality has gotten through the defenses, and what reality says is clear, and it is not comfortable, and it is not something they can continue to look away from. What they did was not okay, and they know it. Tonight, specifically, they know it in the full, undefended, no place left to hide way. Let me speak to the physical experience of what they are moving through tonight. Because genuine remorse is not only a thought, it lives in the body. And the body tells a different kind of truth than the mind does when the mind is still capable of managing the narrative. There is a restlessness, an inability to settle fully into any position, any activity, any form of ordinary evening comfort that usually serves them. The television is on and they are not watching it. The phone is in their hand and they are not seeing it. The food they prepared or ordered or planned to eat is less interesting than it should be, because underneath all of the ordinary things is a current that will not be still. A low, persistent, this is not finished current that keeps the surface of the evening from being peaceful, no matter how peaceful the circumstances are. They have picked up their phone to reach you more than once tonight and put it down, not because they decided not to reach out, but because they did not know how to start, because the message that would actually say what they need to say does not have a first sentence yet. Because anything that begins casually feels dishonest when what lives underneath is not casual. And anything that begins honestly feels like too much to open with, too large, too potentially destabilizing for a connection that is already in a fragile state. So they sit with it in the restlessness, in the specific discomfort of having something they need to say and not yet having the form to say it in. That form is coming. And when it arrives, they will not put the phone down again. Inhale. I want to speak to you directly now, Virgo, to what this means for you and what, if anything, you want to do with it. You are not required to receive this apology. I want to say that first, because I feel something in your energy that has been conditioned, perhaps over a longer period than is fair, to make your feelings smaller in order to accommodate the comfort of other people, to receive whatever is offered, even imperfect offerings, as though the offering itself obligates a certain kind of reception. To meet someone sorry with an immediate movement toward okay, because the alternative, the honest alternative, requires a confrontation with your own hurt that is less comfortable than the forgiveness that skips past it. You are allowed to be still not okay. The apology, however real, does not have a claim on your timeline for healing. It does not arrive and automatically reset the damage because the person responsible has finally arrived at the acknowledgement of it. The acknowledgement matters. I am not minimizing what it means that this person is sitting in their sorry tonight, genuinely and without performance. That is real, and it has weight, and it is different from not acknowledging it at all. But it is not the same as things being healed, and you are allowed to know the difference. Let me speak to what comes next. Because this apology, however privately held right now, is building towards something external, something that moves from the interior of their tonight into the space between you. It may come as a message, something that does not announce itself as an apology in its subject line or its opening line, but that carries the energy of one underneath whatever surface form it takes. Something that reaches out in a way that has a different quality than previous contact, a humility to it, a lessening of the usual defenses, something that gives you room to respond or not respond without creating new pressure around whichever choice you make. It may come as a conversation if the current state of things between you allows for the proximity that conversation requires. And in that conversation, it may not arrive in the first minutes. It may require some settling into being in each other's presence before the thing underneath the ordinary things has room to surface, but it will surface. Because what is in them tonight is too present and too specific and has been held too long in the private to stay private indefinitely. Or it may come in a way you do not expect through someone who connects you, through a gesture rather than a statement, through the specific quality of their behavior the next time they are in your world that communicates without the organizing of it into words, that something has shifted in how they are holding what happened. However it comes, when it comes, notice it. You will feel the difference between the managed version of this person and the sorry one, because the sorry version is the one without the armor fully on. The one that has decided the armor is no longer worth the cost of wearing it. The one that is more available to you than they have been in whatever stretch of time has carried you to now. I want to leave you with something, Virgo. Not advice about what to do, not a prescription for how to navigate what comes, but a truth that I feel belongs to this moment and to everything that tonight represents in the longer story of what exists between you and this person. Genuine sorry changes the person who feels it. Not always enough, not always in time, not always in ways that produce the specific outcome that the person who was hurt needed to happen in order to feel safe returning to something, but it changes them in the small, structural, below the threshold of the dramatic ways that real feeling changes people when they stop resisting it and let it do what it came to do. The person on the other side of tonight is going to be slightly different from the one who went into it. Not transformed, not suddenly capable of everything they were not capable of before, but shifted in the direction of honesty, in the direction of you, in the direction of understanding at a depth they have perhaps not previously accessed what it costs another person when love is present, but its expression consistently falls short of what the love itself warrants. That shift matters. What you do with it is yours to decide. But it is real, and it is happening tonight in the quiet of someone's evening that has nothing ordinary about it, because you are in it fully, without their permission, without any action on your part to put yourself there. You are simply where you have always been in them. And tonight, that is exactly where the sorry lives. Leave me a comment below. Tell me what a real apology would mean to you from this person. Tell me whether you felt this energy tonight before this reading named it. Tell me what it is like to receive this. I read every word you leave me, every single one. Until next time, Virgo, they are sorry, not to the room, not to the version of you they can perform for, to you, the real you, the one they know best and have treated worst. That sorry is sitting in them tonight like a stone in still water, and the ripples of it are already moving in your direction.